Python is famous for being easy to learn, easy to read, easy to prototype with. And that's a huge reason why Python became one of the world's most popular programming languages. But here's the controversial part. Python being easy can actually make it harder to become a really good programmer. Python lets you express complicated ideas with surprisingly little code. Need a total? Need the number of items? Need to sort something? You can learn enough Python to build useful things surprisingly quickly, and that's fantastic, but it creates a trap. Imagine you're new to programming. You learn how to import a library, you copy a few examples, you change the column name, and suddenly you're analyzing thousands of rows of data. You just accomplished something genuinely useful, but do you understand what happened underneath? Maybe not, and Python doesn't force you to find out. Here's another consequence of Python being forgiving. You can write code that works without necessarily understanding whether it's the best way to solve the problem. You might learn a shorter version, then you learn another shortcut, then another. Eventually, you can write very Pythonic code, but still struggle to explain why it works. Python also makes inefficient code easy to write. This looks perfectly reasonable, but if both collections are large, repeatedly searching a list can become expensive. Understanding why this is faster requires something Python's simplicity doesn't teach you automatically: data structures and algorithmic complexity. Python lets you ignore these concepts for a surprisingly long time until one day your program becomes slow. And here's an even bigger example. Modern Python libraries can hide enormous amounts of complexity behind a single method call. You can train a machine learning model with one line, and you can make an HTTP request with one line, and you can query a database with a few lines. That's incredibly productive, but every abstraction you use creates something you need to understand eventually if you are going to debug it deeply. Python's simplicity is one of its greatest strengths. The problem isn't that Python makes things easy. The problem is stopping at easy. A beginner can use Python without understanding everything underneath. That's exactly how it should be. But an experienced programmer needs to gradually understand what's underneath those convenient abstractions. Think of Python as having layers. At the first layer, you're learning syntax. Then you learn the built-ins and libraries. Then you learn data structures, then algorithms, then memory and performance, and eventually architecture and system design. The language doesn't force you to climb these layers. You have to choose to. And that's the paradox.